Hi, everyone, and welcome. We're going to be talking about breath today and its impact on our memory and our brain. So, this information comes from a Joseph Mercola article called Can the Way You Breathe Affect How You Remember Things? If you have any questions, please feel free to give Dr. Justine a quick text at 647-987-9355. I wanted to welcome Dr. Justine. She is that girl that is fully recognized. She was a passionate hockey player, destined for the Olympics, and she actually, at a very tender age, removed the sexual discrimination in sports from the Ontario Human Rights Code before the age of 15. So she believes that everyone deserves a healthcare team that focuses on prevention, optimal health, and open communication. Please help me welcome Dr. Justine.
Today we are talking about breathing mechanisms, and these slides were done by our co-op student William. He will be off to chiropractic college in the next 6 months. He'll be working with us shortly as a kinesiologist and exam tech. So he helped put these slides together for you, and today we're talking about breathing as a coping mechanism. How many times have people said when you're stressed out, just take a deep breath? But is that deep breath helpful or harmful? Is that deep breathing, that deep belly breathing, could it be bad for you? What we do know is that breathing habits can be improved, can be fixed with practice. But many people, many of us, don't take the time to practice our breathing. That can be done in bed, that can be done while watching TV or Netflix, scrolling. It can be done in the car. We want to work on taking time to breathe. So today we're going to talk about nose breathing, improving the rate of that breath, the depth of the breath versus mouth breath, and how that affects our brain and our cognition. If we have poor breathing habits, that definitely can be affected by emotional trauma and stress. So when we're under stress or we're breathing, we breathe with just our throat, basically our neck up, faster breath. We get tense neck muscles, and we're in a more stressed state. So we're going to talk about the importance of nose breathing versus stress breathing. The breathing patterns change when you're stressed. So you find that you'll see here, you're breathing much faster. That's when the lines are going up and down more quickly. And it makes it more difficult to remember things. And you know this, when you're under stress for an exam, a big presentation, a difficult conversation, you want to remember all your points, and then you have like seniors moment, you just forget what you want to say, you freeze up. Stress will affect our memory and affect our breath. It makes us breathe faster, it makes that sympathetic stress. So we get sweaty, we get clammy, we get an upset stomach. All of that can be improved with better breathing, which is coming up. So breathing, when they look at some of the research, it affects the medulla oblongata. That's right at the back of your brain there. You see it at the very bottom of the brain in the picture on the bottom corner. That is an area that affects your control of your breathing. And through optogenic manipulation, this is a method of neuronal activity control. It can be done in mice, and it can help affect the breathing in mice. And what they found in this research is apnea, that's haltered breathing. You've already often heard of sleep apnea, when people snore or they almost feel like they're stopping to breathe repetitively. That impacts our energy levels, our sleep, but it impacts also the detection of new information or object recognition. Remember, this research is done in mice. Forced irregular breathing can improve memory, but then can also be worsened by slowed breathing. So some of the older, or some of the breathing techniques to relax the body could be 10 in, 10 out, 15 in, 15 out. That does have a place to relax the nervous system, but then there's areas where we want to stimulate the nervous system and make sure that we're not just mouth breathing, but we're breathing with our nose to improve the hippocampus and memory storage. So we're going to talk about low CO2. So overpowering or overbreathing is one of the problems that can affect brain fog. That's when we're breathing too fast, and it can affect CO2, carbon monoxide or dioxide, and it can cause what's called hypocapnia. And some of the symptoms of this hypocapnia can be attention deficit, difficulty learning, poor memory, brain fog. And you know this because when you're under stress, you just can't, you've tried to memorize a list, you can't. This could be with your kids as well. They just learning that spelling bee and they cannot learn because they're under a stressed state. And that's when we want to distract them and then try again. Low CO2 causes the blood pH levels to drop, and it restricts those blood vessels, affecting the oxygen to your brain. So CO2 control regulated through automatic reflexes and receptors in your brain and in your arteries. So our goal is to stop over breathing, because over breathing can lead to carbon dioxide deficit, CO2 deficit, which affects not only physical but psychological changes, loss of blood to the brain, loss of oxygen, loss of glucose, affect those electrolytes, increasing the lactic acid in your muscles and nerves. So we want to look at what's the difference between breathing too fast or breathing too slow. So low CO2 levels can be the number one reason for hypocapnia, and it's the poor breathing habits that can damage, our thinking processes. So our goal is to try and get away from mouth breathing and improve nose breathing. So some of the impacts of this low CO2, which is breathing too fast, over breathing, can affect things like headaches, nausea, vomiting, digestion concerns like bloating, fatigue levels, muscle pains, weakness, numbness, cardiovascular concerns, focus, emotional changes, personality or self-esteem changes. You're literally affecting the oxygen to your brain and joints. So we want to look at how this breathing affects the stress on our body. So how do we test if we're have low CO2? So this is a at-home test that you can do. Do not do it when you're driving. Doing a seated, comfortable position. Grab a regular lunch paper bag. You can get these at the dollar store. A regular paper bag. Place it over your nose and mouth. And you may have heard of somebody who's having an anxiety attack to breathe into a paper bag. So you breathe in and out through the paper bag so the carbon dioxide accumulates in the bag. And then you see if your symptoms reduce. If the symptoms go away, then low CO2 was the problem, is the problem. So this is an at-home test to see if you have low CO2. So one of the ways to increase your CO2 is to breathe through your nose. So one of the exercises at the beginning as you're learning, and you slowly improve this, is to limit your exertion and slowly walking, only breathing through your nose, or just sitting watching a movie, but only breathing through your nose. Breathing with one nostril, closing one nostril, closing the other nostril, alternate nose breathing nostril to help this light breathing helps you become more calm, lower blood pressure, lower nasal congestion, and helps your body get used to higher levels of CO2 over time. Limiting the mouth breathing to focus on your nose breathing. You get better and better with this over time so that you can add light exercise like walking. So maybe between the posts, the light posts, you do nose breathing, then mouth breathing, nose breathing, then mouth breathing. And then eventually 2 light posts, 3 light posts. Eventually you're working towards a light jog with nose breathing. The better you get at nose breathing, the better it helps with athletic performance and helps that oxygen and carbon dioxide in the body. So it is something we can practice. So here's some of the steps you could do sitting. placing one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly, and you want to feel that your breath should be moving. So your belly should be moving in and out while you're doing your breath. You close your mouth and you breathe through your nose, and you want to feel your belly moving. You can focus on the cold air coming in through your nose and the warm air being expelled. You slowly decrease the volume. So instead of big breaths, it's smaller breaths with your nose, and you're developing what's called air hunger. So you're accumulating that CO2 in your breath, in your body. So you're slowly getting used to this, and you create this over maybe it's 30 seconds, a minute, eventually working up to 3 or 4 minutes of that air hunger, so that you're increasing your body temperature, your saliva, your circulation, activating your stress reduction. So this is something, again, you could do easily just sitting on the couch, sitting on your bed, laying in bed, to slowly get used to breathing with your nose. How does this affect your nervous system? Well, your nervous system controls all function of your body, every single tissue, cell, organ in your body, including your breath. But if you have stress on your nervous system, areas of subluxation, then where you have poor posture, low shoulder, high hip, head forward, loss of the normal C curves, lordotic curves, that's going to cause stress on your spine and cause subluxations, and that's going to affect your overall breathing. If your overall breathing is affected, stress is affected, you have poor brain function, poor brain memory. So we have so many patients that come in, and when they're getting adjusted, they might still have that arthritis, but they find that they have more focus, they sleep better, they have better digestion, because removing those subluxations removes that sympathetic stress, helps your body get into more rest, digest state, parasympathetic state, so your body is functioning optimally. Our goal is to remove the stress on the nervous system. And part of the ways to remove that stress on your nervous system is learning breathing techniques. So stay tuned with us. We have so much information. Always recommend that you get a nerve checkup, a spinal postural checkup, and keep learning. That's the best thing. Everyone thing all of us can do is constant and never-ending learning. The can I principle. So we have something for you every week. Stay tuned, do a review, and pass this along, because we're here for you.